Poor countries can no longer rely on exports to fuel growth, warns UNCTAD Vertical Line Global Development Vertical Line TheGuardian.com. Turn autoplay off. Turn autoplay on. Please activate cookies in order to turn autoplay off. Jump to Content S. Jump to Site Navigation 0. Jump to Search for Terms and Conditions 8. Edition, UK USO. Your activity. Email subscriptions. Account details. Linked services. Profile mobile. About us. About us. Contact us. Press office. Guardian Print Center. Guardian Readers Editor. Observer Readers Editor. Terms of Service. Privacy Policy. Advertising Guide. Digital Archive. Digital Edition. Guardian Weekly. By Guardian and Observer Photos. Today's paper. Main section. G2 features. Comment and debate. Editorials, letters and corrections. Obituaries. Other lives. Sport. Film and music. Subscribe. Subscribe. GSC Control CSD width. 25 rem exclamation point important. Padding. 0. Float. Right. Input. GSC search button background color. Number sign PDDDD. Border color. Number sign PDDDD. Input. GSC search button hover background color. Number 999. Border color. Number 999. News. Sport. Comment. Culture. Business. Money. Life and style. Travel. Environment. Tech. TV. Video. Dating. Offers. Jobs. News. Global development. Poor countries can no longer rely on exports to fuel growth, warns UNCTAD. Trade and Development Body says domestic growth must be prioritized amid altered global economic conditions. Share. Tweet this. Email. Heather Stewart. TheGuardian.com. Friday, September 13, 2013 13.0 for BST. Feed the Kitty Euros Vertical Line A. The toy stock at a market in Bogor. Indonesia's export-fueled growth has been hit by the global economic slowdown. Photograph. Biwi Harta/Reuters. Developing countries must avoid a race to the bottom to supply cheap goods to the world's richest economies, according to a new report from UNCTAD, the UN's trade and development arm. In its annual Trade and Development Report PDF published on Thursday, the Geneva-based think tank warns that the traditional model of export-led development, which powered many countries in the run-up to the financial crisis, is no longer viable. Prior to the Great Recession, exports from developing and transition economies grew rapidly owing to buoyant consumer demand in the developed countries, mainly the United States, writes Supakai Panachpakdi, UNCTAD's outgoing Secretary-General, in the report's foreword. But the expansion of the world economy, though favorable for many developing countries, was built on unsustainable global demand and financing patterns. Thus, reverting to pre-crisis growth strategies cannot be an option. Panachpakdi adds that relying primarily on cut-price exports to drive expansion leads to a race to the bottom, with few development gains but potentially disastrous social consequences. World trade growth has not returned to its pre-crisis rate. It fell to just 2% in 2012, and UNCTAD points out that imports to developed regions, including the US and Europe, are still below 2007 levels. It suggests this downward trend highlights the vulnerabilities developing countries continue to face at a time of lackluster growth in developed countries. UNCTAD believes that developing country governments must focus on boosting domestic incomes for the poorest euros and hence consumer demand euros rather than pinning their hopes on a recovery in export demand among wealthier neighbors. The report calls for deliberate policies to encourage more generous wages, stronger social safety nets, paid for by better tax collection from those who can afford it, and recalibrating the financial system to focus on lending, not speculation. UNCTAD, which has often tended to present a more radical view than other multilateral economic bodies such as the International Monetary Fund or Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, also expresses concern that reform of the financial sector appears to have stalled. 5 years after Lehman Brothers collapsed, it's amazing how much of business as usual is back in place, said Richard Kozelwright, the development policy expert at UNCTAD in London to launch the report. He added that inequality has risen, global imbalances erode the yawning trade and investment deficit,